So hello guys and welcome. So we're now going to be reading through the Shadowbringers 5.0 preliminary patch notes that landed on the lodestone like an hour ago. So hello, and I'm not going to read it all word for word because these patch notes, especially for expansions, are very long. But we're going to go through it and we're going to see if there's anything we can learn, and I'll share from my experience from previous expansions. So let's see. Yep, we're going to get two new races, the Vera from Final Fantasy XII and a new race called the Hrogar. Vera will be female only and Hrogar will be male only. And they're adding in a trust system, which the trust system is like from Final Fantasy XI. It just means NPCs can help you get stuff done. And lots of updates for the battle system, crafting and gathering, and new features and improvements, quality of life stuff, and so on. So let's see, additional features will be implemented in future patches. Of course, there's always more content. The raid Eden's Gate is scheduled for release in 5.01. Okay, so the raid won't come straight away. Treasure Hunt Instance, Dungeons of Lith Gaia, and Eden's Gate Savage are scheduled for 5.05. And the restoration of the Holy See of Ishgard and New Game Plus are planned for 5.1 or later. No, the or later. So I think that's a way of them saying it could be delayed. So now here's the trailer for Shadowbringers. It's worth watching, I'll just say. I'll give it a watch. Hopefully you'll like it. I've seen even World of Warcraft players seeing this trailer and they're like, wow, it actually looks really good, even though they know nothing about Final Fantasy XIV. Now, okay, so let's see. Areas, the treasure hunts, okay. Now, what these mean, the 2.x, 3.x, and so on. A Realm Reborn was called 2.0. And then Heaven's Sword expansion is 3.0, Stormblood's expansion, which we're in now, is 4.0, and then Shadowbringers is 5.0. So each major number means a different expansion of the game, essentially. Anyway, so moving on. So we have a new main city hub area called the Cristrium. So I can't wait to go. And we have some new towns as well. There tends to be more than one area. Like, think of it as like Rauga's Reach and Kugane. Okay, and then we have new zones. So Lakeland. There is, by the way, a video which explores the new zones, but you could also just wait a day and just get into it yourself. There is Colosia. Okay. And to be honest, the design of this town reminds me of Lindblom from Final Fantasy IX, but whatever. And then Amarang. Okay. And then Emeg. I thought this this town looked interesting. It was almost giving me Tenebrae vibes from Final Fantasy XV. But it's interesting to have like a sort of castle like this with wings around it, which you get like a preview of it if you play the benchmark. And then the Ratika Great Wood. This place reminds me of the wood zone in Final Fantasy, I think it's Final Fantasy XII. So yeah. And then new city and field Aetherites. One thing I will be doing the first time I get into the new city, I will be unlocking all the small Aetherites, so they can just teleport all over the town. It's a good idea to do it first, and obviously to get the Aetherites as you go. Now, quests. Patch 5.0 introduces myriad of quests in addition to the main scenario. The cases in the patch notes only cite the initial quest in a series. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have an exhaustive list, because an exhaustive list might also be spoilers, so they only want to point you in the right direction. So, okay, some screenshots. New side quests. Side quests in 5.0 will now employ automatic level adjustment system known as Quest Sync. Quests using the system will have their difficulty in the XP rewards adjusted to match your current level. So certain side quests do not use Quest Sync. So what this means basically is that when you're, because there is so many classes in the game now, there's like 20. There's maybe probably more than 20 now. So the idea is that regardless which class, assuming that they're obviously appropriate at least for the minimum of the zone, you'll be able to do the quest and still get the maximum reward for that quest at your level, and also as well, it will sync the mobs to your level. Not in all cases, but in most cases. I am someone who does go around and I finish all the world quests. Like I can't. It would be very hard for me to find any quest I've not done in the game. Like I've been that completionist about it. Now, they're adding role quests to the game. So before, we used to have class quests, job quests. So the job quest, for example, would say, like, go here, go there, level 63 red mage, level 65 machinist, whatever. And we have a new quest. But because now there is so many classes, and they're only going to be adding more in the future, they have to summarize it to roles. Because simply, I think it's just too much work. There will still be level 80 quests for each of the individual classes, but there will just not be the individual, the lower level ones between 70 and 80. So it says here, each Disciple War Magic will be able to progress through one of these 4 series of quests based on their designated role. So the role being tank, healer, ranged, melee DPS like Bard, Machinist, and Dancer, or range magic like Summoner, Black Mage, things like that. So furthermore, completion of at least one series of role quests is required to complete the main scenario of Shadowbringers. So the role quests will be intertwined with the main story of Shadowbringers. Like, you will actually have to do them. It's not something you can just skip and do later. And but they have said in the fan fest and the live letters and everything that these quests are very, very detailed and hopefully will be very fun. So as you can see, the tank one starts in the Crystarium. You have to get to a certain point in the main story. They won't say because it's just it'll be spoilers, I guess. But yeah, so that's for the tanks, and then for the melee, you have Monk, Dragoon, Ninja, Samurai, Bard, Machinist, and Dancer. Okay, so they're all lumped together. And then you have Black Mage, Summoner, Red Mage are lumped together. And then White Mage, Scholar, Astrologian, Healers are lumped together. An additional quest will be unlocked upon completing the entirety of the main scenario and all 4 role quest series. Okay. So I guess that's something I'll be looking forward to. But it doesn't even say what the name is. So this is a reward, guys. Who's going to get there first? Who's going to be the first person to do this? It's not going to be me because I've got things to do. You know what I mean? So new job quests have been added. So these are the level 80 quests I was telling you about. So they're only for level 80. You notice. So it says you have to have completed the quests. Which is the level 80 role quests. You have to finish those and finish the main scenario for 5.0. So of course there will be more story in 5.1, 5.2 and so on. I'm sure Shadowbringers will just be the last story quest of 5.0. Okay, so Warrior, Dark Knight. So it lists where they all are and their locations if you ever need to refer to this in the future. So usually job quests tend to be on the same NPC that the most previous one was left at. So that's usually the case. But either way, you can refer to this if you need to look at it in the future. So yeah, I've got a lot of work to do. Custom deliveries have been added. Ooh. So our new type of custom delivery, each Disciple of Hand or Land will be able to progress through one of 5 series of quests associated with different facets of the crystalline mean. Completing deliveries for a facet of the crystalline mean will advance the story of that particular facet. Because Crystallium delivery quests include crafter scripts and gatherer scripts, players must first complete the quest in scrutable taste before undertaking deliveries. Okay, I'll be sure to make a video about this in the future that goes into this in more detail. So, okay. So, okay, they're adding more custom deliveries. So, what custom deliveries are, in case you don't know, is every day, 15 hours, something like that, they usually put up, it's like a bounty almost, like craft this item as a collectible, turn it in, and we'll give you bonus scripts. And you use the scripts to get recipe books, to buy folklore books, things that will just get you more recipes and more things for your crafters and gatherers. And you also get a huge amount of EXP and rewards for doing it as well. But like I said, I'll cover it in a future video. So I guess they're just making it more interesting, maybe to make it feel more focused, rather than having all 8 crafters feel like they're exactly the same class. So you see, yeah, facet of forging, facet of crafting, facet of nourishing, and of gathering, and of fishing separately. And then it said the additional quests will be unlocked upon completing the entirety of the main scenario, all 5 Crystallium delivery quest series. Well, leave it to me and Ash. We'll probably get there first. So, to support the new and returning players, additions and adjustments have been made to rewards for certain main scenario side quests and job quests. I think this is just a thing of, like, it will become easier to level up, to catch up. So, new lead quests have been added for Disciples of Hand and Land. Tradecraft and Fieldcraft leave rewards will be significantly reduced when using a class at level 70 or above to complete a leave with a level 70 leave requirement. Okay, so this just means that if you were thinking that you could just have like 25 or whatever the max number of leaves is ready for the launch of the expansion to zoom up levels, forget it, you're nerfed. So new fates have been added. Okay, so we all know what fates are. So fates, basically, if you don't know, if you don't play this game, they're like world bosses in a way, mini bosses. They're sort of dotted all over the map, and they give you nice rewards, but they are changing the system. So furthermore, as you continue to complete fates in new areas, gemstone traders will offer a wider selection of items. To view your progress in each area, select shared fate under travel in the main menu. Ooh, okay. Now, what it is, basically, in the past, there was, like, achievement fates, like, fates that will get you achievements, so sort of special fates. I'm thinking this is more to refine that system. And also, as well, they did mention that with the gemstones, you'll be able to buy certain rewards. So, it's to more reward your time for doing fates, rather than it just being about experience points and so on. Okay, treasure hunt. The following additions and adjustments have been made to treasure maps. So, glider skin treasure maps and Zunura skin treasure maps have been added. Rewards for Yevon skin treasure maps and Gaga skin treasure maps have been adjusted. So, tombstones rewarded for completion of treasure maps has been changed for Allegan tombstones of Mendacity and Allegan tombstones of Genesis to Allegan tombstones of Poetics. Okay, so basically, the older maps are getting probably nerfed. Makes sense. Players will now be synced to level 70 when entering the Lost Canals of Uzener, the Hidden Canals of Uzener, and Shifting Altars of Uzener. I guess, again, it's just to solidify old content. So I think what they're trying to avoid generally with their design is they just don't want it like World of Warcraft, where you can be 30 levels higher than the content and go in and one-shot everything. I think they always want to have a level of level sync and so on. So, okay, Grand and free companies. Additional items have been accepted, will now be accepted, okay, which probably just means you can bin more stuff. And then the display of submersible parameters have been adjusted. Okay, so this is a company, Submarines. I'll be honest, it's not something I've really paid attention to. I probably should have. Blue Mage, Gunbreaker, and Dancer symbol options have been added to company crests. Okay, furnishings from the 14 design contests have been added. Oh, cool. Nice. New furniture, new estate tags, a preview function. Okay, so before you place it, you can see what they look like. That's pretty cool. So, and then restrictions on exterior fixtures based on housing ward have been removed. Okay, cool. Help interface will now display when speaking with the resident caretaker about housing features. Okay, crafting facility furnitures can now be used by crafting classes up to level 70. Ooh, okay. Because like in my FC house, we do have like all of the crafting facility furnitures, but they weren't that useful when you got past level 50. So I guess that's being changed now. In accordance with the increased character level cap, level 80, crystalline striking dummies have been added. Cool. So it just means that when you fight level appropriate dummies, it means that it would be like fighting a level 80 mob in terms of resistances and so on. Okay, so and they're good for practicing your rotations and stuff like that. I'll be sure to get one for my FC. New Castor rolls have been added, new aquarium fishes have been added, new seed for flower pots have been added. Okay, and it also says where you can buy them from. The Mandeville Gold Saucer. Okay, new prize available for MGP. Following additions have changes have been made to Triple Triad. New cards have been added. New NPC opponents have been added. Players can now engage in Triple Triad matches in new areas. Okay, cool. It just means that the system is still going to be supported in the Shadowbringer areas. Following additions have been made to the Doman Mahjong. Okay, an option to reset rank and rating has been added. Okay, an image of your character will now be displayed when playing. The display of calls can now be cancelled by right-clicking with your mouse, and so on. Okay, so I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever played Mahjong in the game, ever, so miscellaneous. Okay. Players can now select the Hrogar and Vera races. I know a lot of people are really excited about this, especially the Vera. Like, I've seen some really amazing artwork on Twitter and stuff like that. I don't know if many people are excited about the Hrogar, but guys, if you are excited about it, please let me know in the comments down below. And then following additions and adjustments have been made to the sightseeing log. Shadowbringers entries have been added. Entries can now be completed regardless of class or job. Ooh, okay. So the following additions and changes have been made to the challenge log. New categories. Complete 5 fates with the highest possible rating. And then complete 10 fates with the highest possible rating. Oh, okay. So before, because what I used to do before is I used to do like 2 fates in 5 different zones to get it done. But now they're just saying just do 10 and you're fine. So they've simplified that one. Coinciding with the increase in level cap, experience points awarded upon completing challenge log objectives have been increased. Cool. So it will scale up. So they're basically saying the challenge log will still be useful. So Chloe's bronze certificates of commendation have been added as rewards for completing Wondrous Tales. These certificates can be exchanged with Chloe for a number of unique prizes. Skywatch NPCs have been added to the new areas. Upon meeting certain requirements, Skywatch NPC in the first will be able to offer weather forecasts for the source. Conversely, Skywatch NPCs for the source will be able to offer weather forecasts for the first. Cool. Now, the reason why this is important is mostly for fishers, to be honest. Like, there are certain fish which only spawn during certain weather or just after certain weather and so on. So the people who will mostly be watching the weather or using the Skywatchers will be NPCs. Well, sorry, will be fishers, and there is clever websites out there that do the tracking for you automatically. New emotes have been added, new hairstyles have been added. Okay, the battle system. Level cap has been increased to level 80. Gunbreaker Nature jobs have been added. That's cool. And it also says where to unlock them. So you can unlock Gunbreaker in New Gridania. Cool. And then you can unlock Dancer in Limsa Liminza lower deck. Cool. In accordance with the addition of new jobs, gear for Gunbreaker and Dancer have been added to the rewards of certain dungeons, will now be sold by merchant NPCs. Additionally, Gunbreakers and Dancers will not receive the first time completion bonus from Guildhess. Okay, I guess this is a way of saying we can't, well, I mean, to be honest, Guildhess only went up to like level 40 anyway, so it wouldn't make any sense given that these classes will be starting at level 60. So now this video worth watching is a preview of the class abilities or the job abilities, which I did cover in a previous video. Substantial revisions have been made to the battle system. Umbral Ice now also reduces the MP cost of ice spells. This effect increases with each stack gained. Enmity gained for certain healing actions have been reduced. To improve player usability, the time frame within which players must execute actions to continue or complete combos has been extended. Okay, so they're making it easier to maintain combos. A fixed set of role actions has been assigned to all jobs. Players will learn role actions as they level, and will no longer be required to select a subset of these actions to be used in combat. Okay, so what it just means is the whole select which role abilities you want, that is just being done away with. There's no need for it. The following adjustments have been made to limit breaks. The rate at which the limit break gauge fills when using healing actions has been reduced. The limit break gauge will no longer fill when non-healer jobs are using healing actions. The rate at which the limit break gauge fills in new areas when taking damage from enemies under certain conditions has been reduced. Okay, so the interrupt effect has been added. A gauge indicating when actions can be interrupted has been added. Player actions with this new effect can prevent execution enemy abilities when used before this bar can be filled. The following actions have this effect. Interject and head haze. According with this change, the sinus effect has been removed. Okay, I think all this is basically is there was always some enemies you could stun, interrupt, and so on, but it wasn't clear. I guess you would have to just know which ones you can do, and some like bosses you pretty much can never interrupt anyway. But they're simplifying and to show what can be interrupted. Charged actions have been implemented. These actions allow players to expend charges to execute them multiple times in quick succession. The recast time of these actions determined the rate at which charges are accumulated. The maximum number of charges for these actions can be confirmed via their action help text. Restarting a duty will fill all charged actions to the maximum. Okay, so what it is basically is you will, as I said, so you don't have to do like perfect rotations all the time, because sometimes there are situations, mechanics, strategies which require you to run around. You can't maintain your DPS. But what they're basically saying is, because the abilities will be charging and you'll be able to execute them more than once, when you're not attacking the mob, you won't lose the power that you could have had by using that ability during that time frame. I think that's why they've added this in. So yeah, it's an interesting mechanic. We'll see how it plays out. As well, we'll see the sort of rotations people come up with in the future to maximize DPS. So certain weapon skills and spells will now have unique recast timers. While these actions are still affected by global cooldown, they will not share a recast timer with other weapon skills. The timer will display over the icon of weapon skills and spells with unique recast timers. Okay, so same thing. So choosing when to hit certain abilities based on the cooldowns of other abilities and so on. I'm sure it'll take time, but then people will make like really good rotations. The following adjustments have been made to pets. Pet actions have been removed. Actions that previously qualified as pet actions have been incorporated into player actions. Actions executed by pets have been moved to the pet category of the actions tab. Certain actions cannot be executed manually. Pets can no longer be targeted by player or enemy actions. Pets will no longer be displayed in the party list. Pet HP will no longer be displayed when targeted. Okay. I guess again, to just simplify it. So I suppose that just means you don't have to throw heals onto scholar pets and summoner pets. It's maybe a distraction. Player attributes have been adjusted as follows. TP has been removed. Okay, that's a good thing, because it just means that when you're sprinting around and stuff, like, you don't have to worry about it, because this mostly affected how the game was back like ages ago, like probably in like around Reborn. So sprinting around used to actually use TP, which made using abilities as, for example, a Dragoon really, really irritating. So that's been done away with. Maximum MP of all jobs has been fixed at 10k. The cost of actions have been adjusted accordingly. Okay, now to be honest, I'm sure abilities and so on were always based on percentage of your bar rather than actual numbers. So, but whatever. The effect of piety has been changed from increasing maximum MP to increasing MP regeneration. Parrying is now less effective in reducing damage. Blocking is now less effective in reducing damage. Okay. So this gives me a feeling that we're going to be more like towards what they call it, like meat tank, you know, as in like we just have to bear the brunt of the damage. And also as well, maybe parrying and blocking was a bit OP. In accordance with changes to player attributes, the effects of certain monster and NPC actions have been adjusted. Party bonus effects have been adjusted. So when you have something in the patch notes like it's been adjusted, it doesn't mean it's been nerfed or buffed. It could be either. It's been balanced, is maybe another way to look at it. Players will now receive a 1% increase in strength, vitality, dexterity, mind, intelligence for each unique role in the party, up to a maximum of 5%. So the roles are classified as follows. Okay. So it just means that the more diversity you have in the group, the better. So the 100% increase in EXP gained granted by Armory bonus now applies to all jobs below level 70. Oh wow. So from level 70 onwards, the Armory bonus is a 50% increase in EXP gained. Fair enough. Fair enough. So they're making it easier for newer players to catch up. So yeah, that's fine. So in accordance with the increase in level cap, bonuses for new worlds and preferred worlds are now applicable all the way to level 69. Okay. So basically when they release a new world, a new server, basically that's what worlds are, then or preferred servers, then you can level up on them quicker, basically. So new dungeons have been added. That's cool. What I'm really looking forward to be honest, in Shadowbringers is just how pretty the zones look. You know, they look a lot prettier. God, this reminds me of the zone just below the sky area in Final Fantasy XI. Then EXP chain bonus in instance dungeons has been removed. In accordance with this change, the amount of EXP gained in instance dungeons has been increased. Okay. So we won't have chain. What chain means is you have a chain bonus if you kill things concurrently, like one after the other. But I guess they're doing away with that so you can be more casual. The trust system has been added. It allows you to challenge main scenario dungeons with a party of allied NPCs. NPC means non-player character, it means bots, computer characters. Parties must be composed of 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS. Using the trust system, entering the dungeons for the first time. After reaching the quest objective to clear a dungeon in the main scenario, several allied NPCs will be standing near the dungeon's entrance. Speak with them and you'll have the option to add them to your party and enter the dungeon. Revisiting dungeons. The trust system can be used to enter dungeons you have already completed. First, select trust under the duty in the main menu. In the window that appears, select the dungeon you wish to enter and the NPCs to accompany you. Cool. Item level sync has been applied to certain instance quest battles. In accordance with these increase in level cap, players can now gain experience from level 70 dungeons and 4.x Alliance raid dungeons. Okay, so new trials have been added. What this means basically is that before, when you were level 70, obviously you never got EXP because you were capped. But what they're saying now is that if you do a level 70 dungeon in the expansion, because your level cap is 80, they will give you XP for doing them. New trials have been added. Okay, the echo will be applied to all 4.x trials. It's basically like a buff to make them easier. The strength of the echo granted in Omega FFXIV Savage has been increased. The echo will take effect upon entering Omega FFXIV Savage, increasing players' maximum HP, damage out, and healing potency by 20%. Unlike other instances, the strength of the echo will not increase in the event all party members are incapacitated. Okay. And then the following additions and changes have been made to Allegan tombstones. So tombstones of Gotia have been added. Players can attain up to 2,000. Moreover, players can only receive tombstones of Gotia after reaching level 80 with at least one class. There's no weekly limitation on tombstones of Gotia. A secondary currency, tombstones of Phantasmagoria will be added approximately 4 weeks after the start of the official service of Shadowbringers. Alagon Tombstones of Mendacity and Tombstones of Genesis are no longer obtainable. However, players will retain all current held Alagon Tombstones. The NPC's Oriana in Revenant's Toll will now give players the option to exchange Alagon Tombstones of Mendacity, Alagon Tombstones of Genesis for Alagon Tombstones of Poetics. Moreover, items that could be purchased in exchange for Alagon Tombstones of Mendacity and Genesis can now be purchased using Poetics. So it's basically to just nerf old content, basically, to say that you can just get it all with Poetics. Alagon Tombstones of Creation have been removed. So players can now use the undersized party option to participate in duties introduced after the release of Stormblood. Okay, so to be honest, I'm probably just going to be using this to farm mounts and stuff from the primals. The raid finder now only lists trials and duties introduced with patch 5.0. Ooh. So, however, the Unending Coil of Bahamut Ultimate and Weapons Refrain Ultimate can still be accessed via the raid finder. The duty finder has been adjusted as follows. The duties associated with each duty roulette category have been adjusted. Duty finder categories have been adjusted. So, duty roulette level 50, 60 and duty roulette level 70 dungeons have been combined into duty roulette 50, 60, 70 dungeons. So the type and number of Alagon Tombstones received from each duty roulette has been adjusted. Okay. Fair enough. So it's basically just saying that these are the rewards you'll get for each one. Okay. So the weekly restriction of receiving cracked clusters upon clearing the Oban Monastery has been removed. New enemies have been added. New light marks have been added. Players can now hunt regular light marks in the new areas. Cool. So this is just to say that this system already exists. Yes, it will be supported in the expansion. A notification will now display when an S-rank elite mark spawns in your current area. Ooh. Okay, so we'll actually get a notice for that. A notification indicating the general direction of a B rank will now display when you spawn in an area. A notification indicating a nearby B rank mark may have been defeated will be on display. Okay. Atari Seal caps has been increased from 1,000 to 4,000. Mark bills for Realm Reborn and Heavensward areas can now be used to open maps for their respective areas. Oh, that's cool. So the following additions and changes have been made to Deep Dungeons. The Palace of the Dead. Items yielded by bronze trim sacks, iron trim sacks, silver trim sacks, and gold trim sacks have been adjusted. Gunbreaker's Nest's arms are now available. Okay. Heaven on High. Items yielded by the silver hose sacks, gold haloed sacks, and platinum haloed sacks have been adjusted. Okay. So they're adding support for Gunbreaker and Dancer to the dungeons. The Lawns. An expansion of Stone Sky Sea has been adjusted. The Lawn offers trials tailored to various high-level duties in which players will be tasked with destroying a level 80 striking dummy. To access the Lawns, players must first complete the following quests. Okay, so what this is basically is just to make sure that your DPS levels are effectively the minimum required for said dungeon or instance. So this is a way to practice to make sure you're up to that level. If you fail to finish them, then it might be worth trying to gear up, for example. Following adjustments have been made to Logos actions in the Forbidden Lands Eureka. So, Wisdom of the Duelist. The effect which reduces TP cost has been removed because there is no TP. Rejuvenation L. The effect which restores TP has been replaced with the effect that restores HP. Okay, PvP traits have been removed. In accordance with the change, the traits tab of PvP profile has been removed. PvP actions for all jobs have been adjusted. Additional actions are now adjusted based on your current role. The following adjustments have been made to PvP. TP has been removed. The range on melee attacks has been increased. The global cooldown time of actions has been increased. This is bad. I don't like that, but whatever. The HP recovery rate outside of combat has been increased. MP recovery rate in combat has been increased. MP recovery rate outside combat has been increased. Players will now be granted temporary immunity to knockback and draw-in effects after being affected by them. XP yielded after a match will now be granted to the job used at the time of registration rather than the current job at the end of the match. Now, the reason I've said that the global cooldown increasing is a bad thing is because I already believe, and I've said it since the beginning, that the global cooldown in this game is too long anyway. It's the reason I don't PvP, because it's so slow. But that's because I come from a World of Warcraft background, where like the cooldown is like a second. So yeah, and it's just when you compare the excitement, it's not as exciting for me anyway. After like 8 years of playing World of Warcraft, the Feast PvP team season has ended. The top combatants will receive rewards. Cool. New items have been added. New recipes have been added. So you see here, because there's simply so many, they won't be listed in the patch notes. There's just too many. We're going to have to just discover them in game. Certain items can now be sold, desynthesized, submitted as expert deliveries, and converted into materia. Certain items can no longer be sold. The sale prices of certain items have been changed. The following item names have been changed. Okay. So the main attributes of accessories have been adjusted in accordance with the rebalancing of the battle system. The main attribute of the Aetheryte earring when equipped by a tank has been changed from vitality to strength. The haste attribute on certain equipment is now displayed with a plus sign rather than a minus sign. So the new items available in exchange for achievement certificates have been added. So Groundbreaker and Dancer have been added as required jobs for certain gear. Fine. The following adjustments have been made to materia melding. When melding fails, it is now possible to immediately reattempt the meld, so long as more of the same materia is present in the melder's inventory. The following attributes can no longer be improved via materia. Strength, vitality, dex, in mind. It's because they're actually removing these materia. I've already made a guide to say how to get rid of your materia, because if you have strength or any of the main stat materias, they're all going to be worthless. So I would say get rid of them today if you can. After watching it for the first time, it is now possible to skip the cutscene when requesting materia transformation from Mutamix in Central Fanaland. Fair enough. So the following types of materia are no longer able to be obtained, and the attribute enhancing capabilities have been removed. So like I said, yeah, the main stat materia are being removed. Level cap of desynthesis has been increased. Yep. So what this cumulative means is that based on how many levels you have across all of your desynth classes, the maximum is 1,370, and individual classes are limited to 450. So yeah. And then the level cap for Disciples Hand of Lands increased to 80. Elemental aspects have been removed from synthesis recipes. Okay, I mean, to be honest, that really only applied to like a few A Realm Reborn recipes, and it's not really been used since. So I guess they're removing it completely. New crafter actions have been added. Ooh. Okay. So guys, I will look into these in detail after the expansion launches. Okay. So crafter salute. So the following actions are now available to all crafter classes. So Steady Hand 2 and Bygot's Blessing. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they're basically vital for every rotation, so it makes sense that they're now just available to all classes. Accordingly, they can no longer be set as additional actions. Okay, so I will have to readjust all of my rotations and skills, because 2 of them used to include these 2. So it's basically saying I don't need to put them anymore. Following crafter actions have been removed. Okay, Brand of Wind, Bygot's Bow, Name of the Wind. So these are all the elemental ones they were talking about. Bygot's Brow was kind of like its own version for each class of Bygot's Blessing, but I guess they just don't want it anymore. It maybe complicated stuff when it just wasn't needed. So the following conditions have been added to crafter actions. Inner Quiet. The bonus to control can be stacked with innovation, but cannot exceed 3,000. Ah. Okay. Can only be used up to 5 times per synthesis. Okay. This, I'll have to see in the long run what effect this has, because I'm sure this will affect the rotations as well. I guess that they're just probably trying to streamline it. Maybe it makes sense, because sometimes, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had an item where it only requires, say, 2000 quality to get to 100%, and then you just hit it with some, like, you know, excellent, like, 11 stack, like, amazing quality up, and it hits for like 17,000 increase. So I guess they're trying to do away with that and normalize the numbers a bit. Okay, so like I said, I'll go through this in more detail in the future. So the following additions have been, and adjustments have been made to the crafting log. The maximum percentage to which initial quality can be raised by using agri materials is now displayed on recipes. Okay, so like, we already knew it was max 50%, but I guess they're actually showing it. Recipes for which the initial limit may be greater or less than 50% have been added for FFXIV 5.0. Ooh, okay. So having high quality materials doesn't guarantee success anymore. Sorry, crafters. So the value of both progress and quality increase at 100% efficiency are now displayed on recipes for your current equipped crafting class. Okay, now I'm sure this will be balanced to your stats, it surely must be, but it basically takes the guesswork out of it. You don't have to pay such close attention to the log anymore, it tells you right there, so you can plan your rotations. The class quests category have been changed to story. The following additions adjustments have been made to the synthesis window. Okay. So yeah, it shows the numbers, so you don't have to guess. So the UI has been adjusted to make durability and condition information easier to understand. Okay, so the way it works in this game is that while you're crafting, you can have it go from normal status, you can have a good, you can have excellent, and poor. Usually, pretty much always after excellent, you have poor. So a good increases efficiency usually by 50%, whereas excellent like increases it by like 200% in terms of quality gained. It has no effect on the progress, so it now puts it as a word. So before it used to be based on the color, so the normal would just, you can see, it would be the blue, good would be red, excellent would be like a rainbow hovering different colors, and the poor would be like a really dark, like horrible color. So let's see, a symbol indicating that collectible synthesis is in progress is now displayed in the window. Okay, which is this symbol right there. So collectible synthesis is needed when you are doing, for example, custom deliveries or collectible turn-ins. So if you don't craft the item with collectible on, then you can't turn them in. You can't turn them in through the rewards. So, and collectability is determined by the quality increase. So when, for example, an NPC says, okay, I want this item of, say, 400 collectability, then usually you have to have got it very high up its quality while collectible synthesis is on to increase the collectability to that level. So they're just making it easier to not have to guess this stuff. So the statuses applied by crafter actions are now displayed in the window. Okay. So again, so rather than having to look, before you have to look at your hotbar to know how long was left on your crafter's crafting abilities. So now it's right there in the window itself. So you don't have to focus on your hotbar anymore. The values of both progress and quality increases at 100% are now displayed. Cool. As I said, guys, I will go into more detail about this stuff in the future. We'll see if I make a new crafting series after the expansion. It depends how I feel. So calculations for increases to progress and quality, assuming base 100% efficient and being adjusted. In accordance with this change, the effectiveness of actions affecting progress quality have been slightly reduced for recipes added prior to Shadowbringers. I don't think that's a problem, because simply we're going to be so powerful anyway that we'll probably just be able to get everything 100% high quality anyway. Difficulty of certain recipes found in Master Recipes 5 and 6 have been reduced. Okay. But this, like, Master Recipe 6 only has until level 70 gear anyway. New actions have and traits have been added to the size of the land. Okay. Cool. New traits. Okay, cool. So it just means more GP generation, better stealth, and so on. New miner and botanist gathering points have been added. The following actions adjustments have been made to fishing. New fishing holes have been added. S rank records can now be obtained from certain fishing spots. Ooh. Okay. So the following additional adjustments have been made to spear fishing. Okay. So new teeming waters have been added. AAA records can now be obtained with all gig heads listed in the fishing log. New tomes of regional folklore have been added, which we were anticipating. New items can be used for ethereal reduction have been added. Yeah. So basically, you generally use your gathering scripts to buy these tomes, and what they're used for is to then be able to just gather more unique stuff. And it's if you're into crafting and gathering, it's good to get these ASAP, because you might then start getting some items which are so rare that they're actually astronomical in price at the beginning, at least, of the expansion. The amount of time received from ethereal reduction has been adjusted. Freshwater boilies and saltwater boilies bait effective on wide variety of fish in 2.0 areas have been added. These items can be purchased at all shops within 2.0 areas and the pillars where bait is sold. Okay, so I'm guessing that just means that we won't need lots of different baits for 2.0 areas for fishing. It will just be one or the other, either saltwater or freshwater. So saltwater means the sea, freshwater means rivers. So the following additions and adjustments have been made to the gathering log. Entries related to the regional folklore can now be categorized by region. Okay, gathering location and time information will now be displayed on any item successfully gathered from undiscovered and hidden gathering points. Gathering item information will now be displayed for any item successfully gathered from ethereal gathering points. So a timer indicating when the item next will be available for gathering can now be created for any item successfully gathered from undiscovered, hidden, or ethereal gathering points. This function can be accessed by opening the submenu from the item's name and selecting set timer for next occurrence. Cool. I mean, it's probably, you can only probably put one timer though. Like I tend to use a website like Garland Tools to see all the upcoming, but we'll see. I'll dive more into this at the appropriate time. Players above level 70 will now receive a maximum of 10,000 EXP when trading collectibles to a level 70 star or lower. Okay, so basically it says above level 70. I don't know if that includes 70 itself. Like, some people are anticipating you'll be able to do collectibles from 70 to 71 quickly, but I wonder if this will actually, if you actually are level 70, if you'll be nerfed. So the amount of EXP received from delivering collectibles at level 60-70 has been increased. Okay, so following additional adjustments have been made to crafters and gatherers scripts. White scripts and white gatherer scripts currencies have been added at level 80. Players can begin exchanging their collectible items to these scripts at Splendor's Exchange, starting at level 80. Can have up to a maximum of 2,000 at any given time. Red scripts and red gatherer scripts are no longer obtainable. In accordance with this change, all activities which yielded red scripts will now yield yellow scripts. Okay. Red gatherer scripts can now be exchanged for yellow scripts in the script exchange. So red scripts, rip. So currently held red gatherer scripts will now be lost, but they no longer can be exchanged for items. The items that were previously available in exchange for red scripts can now be obtained for yellow scripts. Blue scripts and blue gatherer scripts have been removed. The amount of yellow scripts and gatherer scripts required in exchange for items has been adjusted. Okay, so there's just going to be yellow scripts and white scripts. So yellow for everything pre-Shadowbringers, white scripts for the new stuff. So I guess they're simplifying it in that way. The amount of craft and gatherer scripts received from delivering collectibles have been adjusted. Level 70 arms, gears, and accessories have been added to inventories of vendors in Kugane. Okay. So I guess this is to catch up. I mean, all my classes are already like level 380, but that's because I'm Mithrie. So new items have been added to the inventory of Calamity salvages. New mounts have been added. Okay. New flying mounts. The following mounts are now available to fly. Yeah, I saw this. It's funny that they could just fly now. New chocobo bardings have been added. Ooh, the dancer one. Oh, they look really cool. New minions have been added. Cool. So a market board has been added to Crystarium. The following additions and adjustments have been made to retainers. Retainers can now be registered in Crystarium Market. Hograph and Vera can now be selected as retainer races during customization. That's cool. So I will probably adjust my retainers to be like Vera and Hograph, just for lols. Because my main Mithrie is going to be a Makote forever. She's a Mithra from Final Fantasy XI. So Makote and that's it. But alts and retainers, I guess, will be the new classes. New races, sorry. Hairstyle and face paint obtained as rewards can now be applied to retainers during customization. Hell yeah. So the retainer level cap has been increased to 80. Retainers can now be assigned Gunbreaker and Dancer jobs. Ooh, that's nice. New objectives have been added to delivery missions, exploration ventures. Exploration ventures are now displayed with the highest level ventures first. That's cool. That's just a quality of life change, because before you had to like scroll down to the bottom of the list. I guess they just switched it around. The retainer interface has been redesigned and selections can now be reordered. The retainer interface will now remain open upon retainer dismissal. Retainer animations upon being summoned dismissed have been adjusted to increase the responsiveness of the interface. Okay, the color of the retainer nameplates have been changed. Okay, now one note about the retainers is that usually they're capped by your level. So if you, for example, want to have like a level 80 paladin retainer, unless you are level 80 paladin, it will cap to whatever your level cap is for that class. New achievement styles have been added. The following additions and adjustments have been made to achievements. Some categories have been adjusted. Achievements can now be selected via sub-command and recorded to the watch list. Achievements can be filtered by completion status and type of reward. Clicking on achievement in the relevant category will no longer automatically open its primary category. Each achievement's primary category can be accessed using the display filter category subcommand. Okay, so the following additional adjustments have been made to the recommendations window. Hunt marks are now displayed. That's cool. Yeah, hunt marks, that'll be a good one. Sightseeing clues are now displayed in recommendations. Nice. So I guess it's just to encourage you to do the sightseeing log if you want to just clear it off your recommendations. The hunting log entries for both class and grand companies will now display in the same category. The window can now be locked. Cool. Links to party finder listings can now be posted in the chat log. Nice. So I think that will be useful if you want your friends OFC to look at your listing, for example. A player's current party finder listing can be opened via the chat log. Nice. Cross-world party invitations to players on other worlds can now be issued via the chat log. Ooh. I think that's more to make people feel welcome and at home with the cross-world system. I have visited pretty much every world on Aether now, so... let's see. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the party list. The party list now indicates HP increases granted by barriers. Ah, cool. Okay, so yeah, that's what that yellow bar is. So if you're shielded, it does say how much the shield is giving. The party list now indicates the maximum HP has been... when maximum HP has been reduced. Okay. So I think that's what this down arrow means. So the battle animations for the allied NPCs in quest battles will now always appear. Okay, so these effects cannot be disabled via settings. This adjustment will be considered in future patches for all existing quest battles prior to patch 5.0. The amount of glamours that are stored in the rest of the has been increased from 200 to 400. That's good, because my glamour chest is completely full. So the amount of glamour plates available has been increased from 10 to 15. So if you don't know what glamour plates are, they're kind of like, for this individual class, for example, Gunbreaker, this is what I want it to look like with the different like glamours. So you can put it on a plate, so even when you're constantly replacing gear when you're leveling up to 80, you can just use a plate to make sure that it always looks the same regardless of what you're wearing. That's what the glamour plate system does. So the following changes have been made to group pose. Trust system NPCs can now be included in group pose at the time of duty completion. So Trust and the Squadron NPCs will now repeat their most recently executed action upon duty completion. Nice. Recordable duties have been changed. 2 Shadowbringers trials are now available in the duty recorder. A target's HP can now be displayed in increments of 0.1% when it has less than 1 HP remaining. Select the display target's remaining HP percentage in the character configuration to use this feature. Okay, so the UI color scheme can now be set to either dark or light. This option can be found in the theme settings of the system configuration menu. Okay, in accordance with the increased level cap, the conditions that must be met to set your status as new adventurer has been adjusted as follows. So I played less than 168 hours, have not completed the main scenario quest A Requiem for Heroes. Okay, so players who no longer have the new adventurer status but fulfill the above requirements can restore it by using the text command /NA status on. Okay, so basically A Requiem for Heroes is probably just a story quest which is further ahead than the Far Edge of Fate. So coinciding with the increase in level cap, the requirements for new mentors has been adjusted as follows. Okay, so must have been completed. Oh, okay, so you have to, if you want to be mentor, you have to have actually finished the level 80 role quest. Looks like. Must have completed at least 1,000 dungeons and trials. Must have received at least 300 player commendations. Wow. Disciples handle land. Must reach level 80 with at least 1 land. Level 80 with 1 hand. 100 collectibles. And gathered at least 300 collectibles. Players who obtain certification prior to the release of 5.0 but do not meet the new requirements will retain the current status for the duration of patch 5.0. However, as 5.1, to ensure all members are held to the same standard, changes will be implemented to encourage mentors who qualified on the other system to obtain a recertification. Okay, so they're the requirements for mentor. So the following additions and adjustments have been made to cross-world link shells. The number of cross-world link shells that a single player can create or join has been increased from 1 to 8. Cross-world link shells can now be reordered. This is probably going to be useful for the people who do cross-world hunt farming. So I don't know if any of you have a cross-world link shell for things like that, but probably would make sense. Member lists can now be reconfigured to show online members at the top. Options to sort the list by number or alphabetically have been added. Okay, DualShock 4 and other gamepads with vibrate function will now vibrate when Duty Finder matching has completed. The following additions and adjustments have been made to cutscenes. Text related to the formation or disbanding of a group will no longer display if a cutscene is in progress. Awesome. That's good, because I'm sure if any of you guys have been watching my videos for a while, there's a lot of times that happens where like it will just pop up in the middle of the screen, blah 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 has left the party or something like that. The manner in which the dialogue selections are displayed has been changed. Okay, so they made it look like that now. The position of identifying letter next to a focus target name has been changed. Okay, whatever. So the following additional adjustments have been made to the map. There are now separate toggle icons to turn map text and map icons on and off. Certain quest objective icons have been changed to indicate elevation. Okay, so you see that little down arrow, probably means you have to go down. Yeah, quest objective is below current elevation, quest objective above. Okay, that's cool. So drop gorge details have been revised. The order in which character names are displayed have been adjusted in accordance with changes to pets. The battle and other tabs in the currency window have been revised. Okay, so again, just quality of life changes. The unlimited setting on the frame rate limit in the display section has been replaced with a maximum 90 FPS setting. Additions have been made to the system configuration interface. Settings have been removed from character configuration interface. Okay. Makes sense. So additions have been made to character configuration interface. Okay. And that's it. So the rest are just commands and so on. You feel free to read through them. This is just related to everything we've read so far. Additions have been made to the auto-translation dictionary. Some dictionary entries have been removed in accordance with additions to the adjustments to actions. Only auto-translate symbols will now appear within macros previously used these entries. Additions have been made to the PlayStation 4 autocomplete dictionary. New music has been added. In order to reduce server congestion, upon the release of patch 5.0, the following measures will be implemented temporarily. Continue to monitor server activity and remove these features when server congestion is determined to no longer be an issue. Players who are inactive for 30 minutes will be logged out automatically. So if you go AFK for 30 minutes, guys, you'll be logged out. New areas will be split into multiple instances. Okay. So this was the same thing at the beginning of Stormblood. Like, you go into a zone and there's like 10 instances of that zone. So the following adjustments have been made to character creation. The default appearance of characters as displayed on the race and clan selection screens have been adjusted. Hairstyle options can now be limited to favorites only. Hairstyles and face paint options obtained as rewards are now marked accordingly at the esthetician. I can never pronounce that word. Characters on accounts with active subscription will be prioritized in login queues. Active subscription or prioritized. Okay. I'm assuming that means over people who have like free trial accounts. So, support for Mac 64-bit version has begun, while support for the Mac 32-bit version has ended. The following additions have been made. Okay. Square Enix account passwords can now be saved on PlayStation 4 launcher. Title screen logo and opening movie have been changed to those of Shadowbringers. And Gunbreaking Dancer have been added to the solo rankings for Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High. Cool. Now, guys, remember, this was the preliminary notes. They will eventually, probably when the servers go down, then release the full version, which will include a lot more raw detail, you know, things like item listings and stuff like that. But even then, it will be limited because, like they said, it's just the sheer amount of stuff is ridiculous. But the reason why they don't reveal it all now is because you could quickly identify from the list opportunities which could make you literally hundreds, if not billions, of gil. So that's the reason they don't reveal it ahead of time, because there's certain changes which can be volatile to the market, which suddenly have turned a completely worthless item into something that could be worth a huge amount of money. So I think that's the reason why they don't reveal it all ahead of time. So because it takes literally, because I know as a crafter and, you know, guy who's made all these guild guides, I know it takes one player to empty out a market of a certain item. Just one player. So in a game where there's tens of thousands of players on every single server, you know, people are doomed. Especially, it's also not fair as well, in case of, let's say you're asleep, you're at work, whatever, and then someone else, like myself, I'm available to play the game whenever I like, you know, I could just keep dominating everyone. So I guess they want to avoid that stuff. So anyway, guys, that was the preliminary notes for Shadowbringers. Like I said, my reflection on that: good quality of life changes. We'll see what the new zones are like, and so on. We'll see how well made the role quests are, and I will go into, like I said, more detail with the crafting and gathering stuff after the expansion launches. So anyway, guys, if you like that video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. You can watch a random video over there. You can watch the latest upload down there, or you can click down here to subscribe. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.